Welcome everyone to our 34th episode. This is the space where I want to empower you all to be relationship experts. I'm Kimia Shastadi, founder of Love Story, a matchmaking and love coaching company. If you ever want help with finding or keeping love, don't hesitate to reach out. Bit about me: I have a master's in clinical behavioral psychology, specializing in relationships. I've published psychology studies and journals on relationships. I'm happily married for 5 years, helped over 100 people with relationships, matched over 20 people. My husband is here. My brother is here. Welcoming them both. Thank you so much for coming. Awesome. So let's jump in today. So our topic is a broad one. It's expectations and happiness in relationships. So this can show up in so many different ways. A place to that I wanted to hello, I see you're waving the hand. One place that I really wanted to touch on to make it the focus of today was a lot of people I can teach everyone good relationship skills and they can apply it and be really emotionally intelligent. And that's what we've been doing the last 34 weeks together. But one element that I haven't prepared you guys for as much, which I think someone pointed out a few months ago, was you can be doing all the right things and then have someone not treat you well in return. And so you have to be prepared for that. And I haven't done the best job in preparing people that even if you do all the right things and you use the best communication skills, what do you do when someone doesn't treat you the way you expect back? And that's what I meant by expectations for this today's topic. And then your happiness is related to that. So that's how that piece comes in: expectations and happiness in relationships. So if we're going to go through some real scenarios that I've come across. I've been traveling a lot the last 2 months, and so many relationships I've seen during this time as well. And these ones kind of caught my attention to bring up today, that we'll work through together. So, but the main thing is that I want you guys to take away from expectations and happiness is that once you are confident in knowing what good relationship skills are and you apply them, if someone doesn't treat you well back, you know that they're not treating you well back because you're confident that you are doing the right thing on your end. So that's one big piece. And then when someone doesn't treat you well back, you have to make a decision that, assess everything about them. You need to see, how much more work and effort you're willing to put in to, keep trying to communicate to this person and get through to them or for them to treat you well. And at what point your boundary is for you to walk away. So not everyone is going to treat you well in return, even if you're doing everything right on that end. So I really want to use this today's session to explore that further, because we can be the best people and people can still not treat us well. And so our environment is so important in our happiness, and who we pick to marry or live with, our love lives are the biggest decisions of our lives, that can affect so many areas for us. So it's important to make sure we're surrounding ourselves with people that treat us well. And even if they're not there, let's say they don't treat you well back, they have the ability to grow. They have accountability that maybe if they didn't treat you well, they can treat you well better in the future. There's some growth there. That's something we can work with. But if someone is really not you know, acknowledging that if they've even treated you wrong, or not putting in any effort to take accountability for anything they've done, or not want to improve themselves in any way, and they're just deflecting on everyone else, there's not too much you can go off to make the situation better for yourself. So I encourage you to apply this to all your relationships in your life. I'm not just talking about romantic right now. So think about who you surround yourself with, and that applies to everyone. So it's really, really important to make sure that you are in a healthy environment, and that even if you're not in some areas, that it has room to grow in the future. And then really, when you're adding new people to your life, which these people are going to enter your environment, you want to make sure you filter for people that actually treat you well, and even if that nobody's perfect, so you're going to have to compromise with everyone to some extent. But even if they fall short in some areas, you see that they take accountability, they grow, they want to improve, and that you see them actively working on it. It's not just words. Sometimes you realize that people are so good at just saying they'll do something and they never actually follow through. So watch out for that one as well. But yeah, you deserve to be treated well. And so all of these things we're learning together the last 34 weeks has been to build us up, but also for us to be able to recognize when other people are falling short of our expectations, which is absolutely okay, and wanting people that are on our level or better, or have the growth potential to get where we are, because we deserve happiness, and that's that's something that we can definitely work towards. So, and a lot of this might include difficult conversations, and I've had to go through them myself as well. I'm not exempt to any of this, and it's really tough, especially when you have people in your environment that might not be treating you the best back, and then you have to decide what you want to do with that. A lot of the time, when people apply good skills, they might think that it might be their problem, or they just have to deal with it, or just go with the flow. And I want this week's topic for you guys to think about it more critically, and yeah, and just prepare yourselves. If someone doesn't treat you well back, you can now like see that coming and be a little more prepared for that, and hopefully have the tools to deal with that a little bit better. To assess, to try again with communicating, to assess their growth level, and if they're really not hitting any of these, and they keep making your life, your environment a bad place, then you have to figure out where your boundaries are to cut them out and put good people in your life that make you happy and treat you well and all those good things. So that is, in a nutshell, today's skill. I saw my husband poke me a little bit. So do you want to say words?
Yeah.
Okay, I will just hand it over to you.
So let's say that someone does something, my partner does something that I don't like,
Hmm.
but I don't know if is it my problem, is it their problem? Like, what do I do? How do I start?
Okay. Do you have a specific example you can come up with so we can be a little more concrete for everyone?
A specific example. I don't know. Let's say, you know, we're at like a gathering and I say I'm having like a conversation with someone, and I don't know, maybe maybe they're slightly rude to me, and like I expect or I want my partner to like come stand up for me, and they don't.
Okay. Nice. Okay, so let's say this just happened. Let's say it was us. We were at a party. Someone said something about you. Maybe they attacked your singing, not your singing, and you wanted me to defend you in that moment, um, and I didn't. Right. So, what is your next move? So you feel upset. You feel upset. What would you do next?
I'd be like, hey, I was upset that this person made fun of my singing. He didn't say anything.
Great. I really like that because you said it. You didn't wait a whole day. You didn't just be
We're in the
mad.
car driving
Or in the
along.
car back. Okay, maybe you waited a bit to get in the car. Well, or you got us into a private place. You told me, and you told me that you're feeling upset, which is what I need to know. And because I care about you, when you feel upset, I feel upset, and I'm gonna try and listen to what you need from me. I think you said, I'm up. I think you said I'm upset because you didn't defend me in front of those people. Is that what you said?
Sure.
Something like that. So you even in that very brief statement told me what you wanted from me that I didn't do, which is great. We're being really specific about what I didn't do. He didn't come at me and say, "Hey, you're so mean. Like you just left me there to be attacked." He didn't attack my character. He was being very specific with what he was upset about. So if I care about my husband and his feelings and want to treat him well, I would say, "Thank you so much for letting me know. I didn't know you were upset. Now I know. You know, next time, what would you like me to say in a situation like that, or what would you think is appropriate? What would make you feel loved in that moment?" And I would try and get information. And you know, I don't know. Do you have something that you would want me to say?
I don't know. He'd be like, my husband is an amazing singer. You stay away from him. What if that's what I want you to say? But you're like, I could say that, but that seems like a little harsh.
Mhm.
What if, what if you don't think it's your responsibility to defend me?
Right, right. But I think it really doesn't matter what I think my responsibility is. It matters what my husband needs for me to feel loved in that moment. And so I don't mind too much like what it is. I just got to know what he needs to feel loved. So I'd be like, thank you so much for letting me know. I
But
got
we're
you.
talking about non-ideal situations,
Non
yeah?
ideal, non ideal. I know we're
So
making these
in a
too
non
simple for everyone.
in a non-ideal situation, my partner is going to be like, I think you should be able to stand on your own 2 feet. I shouldn't have to defend you.
Right, right. If I was taking that stance, right? You should be able to stand on your own 2 feet. I'm not going to defend you. Like,
I'm
grow.
always going to be there to defend you.
Yeah, like, I want you to be a man or something like that.
Yeah, sure. You want me to? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so there's, like, so many different
Sure.
there's so many different versions this could go than the ideal version I said. So in all those situations, I could definitely say something else, and if I did, I need Armand. If he's been showing up to 34 sessions of relationship skills with me, I want him to know that it's his right to he has every right to feel upset. You have every right to feel your feelings, and you have every right to ask for what you want. It doesn't mean you're going to get what you want 100% of the time, but if someone generally cares about you and wants to treat you well, they will do their best to give you the thing that you want without deflecting or making you feel bad. So if I was saying something like that, I really hope that Armand has the confidence to tell me, "Hey, look, I don't feel like I'm being treated well right now. I am having a feeling and I'm not feeling good about this and I want to feel loved by you. I didn't feel loved by you in that moment." And the reason this stuff is so important is because these little things build up, and trust me, they'll come out later. And all these little things chip away at your relationship, and it makes it worse, and you will feel it. It's just going to be a gradual decline. So we all want to avoid the gradual decline and not get further and further apart. And this is exactly the way we do it. We address these little moments and not let people get away with treating us badly.
So what am I supposed to do here?
Okay, let's do this again. But I'm like, be a man. I'm not always going to be there to defend you. Um, get a little tougher. What would you say to me?
I don't know. What if I should be tougher? I felt bad, but
Suck
like,
it up, Buttercup.
Go, Polly. Speak.
Oh my god! No, first of all, glad to see you guys back.
Yes.
I haven't had my therapy in a while, so it's nice. It's nice to have you here. Armand started this by asking, "Whose fault is it?" We need to clarify. As the married man, you are always at fault, no matter what happens. No, no,
Yeah.
no. I think this is a great scenario because it highlights the fact that I think oftentimes in these scenarios, we don't always necessarily know what our partner needs. I remember being in scenarios where, as the guy, I was with a girl in the bar, and like she was sort of kind of approached by a guy, but not really, and I was kind of sitting there like, do I get in this guy's face and be like territorial? Is that what she wants? Would she prefer me to show that I trust her and let her handle it? I think in these social settings, it can be really difficult to really know what your partner or potential partner actually would like to see out of you. So for this moment to happen, and then Armand to be able to go to you and say, hey, this is what happened. It made me feel this way. It opens the door to clarify moving forward. How might you guys as a couple maybe handle similar situations in a better way that makes you both feel comfortable and loved and respected.
Thank you for hitting the nail on the head, Polly. We're getting out of assumption alley, and I think we do that. We've practiced this stuff, so that's why we naturally do that. But we understand that most people don't. But I want to encourage you guys to all, get very comfortable with saying when you're feeling, any sort of negative emotion, and saying what you need. We need to make these scenarios more complex to be more like, the average couple fighting. But Armand, I know you wanted to say something maybe while Polly was talking.
no, I'm good there.
Okay, I saw you inching over. Okay. Um, yes, Polly, when you were speaking, I actually thought of a situation that came up, like a real life situation, very similar to what you said, actually. It was a first date. These two people had been talking. This was the first time they saw each other in person. And they went to a restaurant, and the girl said that she didn't like something in her meal. I can't remember what it was right now. And she's like someone who's like studying to be like a top notch lawyer. Like she's really good at what she does. And the guy like is like super like wanting to be like protective and like, nothing's gonna hurt like the woman I care about sort of thing. And so, she said that tiny little comment. And then, when the waiter came, he was just like, it's not okay that her food is like that. Please, um, get her something else or something like that. And I think like even when she said it to him, he was like, she's like, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. But then like, he thought he was standing up for her honor. And then when the waiter came, he said all that. And then afterwards, that girl reached out to me and was like, that was like a really big turnoff that he didn't respect my wishes when I really didn't want it to be a big deal. And I think she said, I think actually it wasn't a first date. It was like the first time they met, but there was like two other people there, and she felt like the person didn't read the room, and there was two other people there, and they all felt uncomfortable, and that he made everyone feel uncomfortable. So there's so many layers to this, and it really also depends on who and to someone else, like, they would be like, wow, that is a man. That's someone I want to be defending my honor. And even the slightest bit of uncomfortability, he's going to go out of his way to like have my back. So there's so many different versions of what people appreciate. So whenever you're dating someone, or with someone, you really need to fine tune your perception skills to what that person actually wants. And please don't try and do like mental gymnastics. Just ask them what they want and really listen. Like, we don't have to work as hard as we do to figure it out. We just have to ask and listen. So when he said, oh, I'll tell the waiter or something, and she said no, that was a honest no. I know some people can deflect you and say like, no, it's okay, but they really appreciate it. So you got to really know, are they just saying that? Do they mean it? Polly, I see your hand. Go for it.
No, no, I just wanted to take a moment to just let Armand know that he has the voice of an angel. Haters will be haters,
I
and
appreciate you.
you just gotta let them, hate. That's just how it goes. Don't let them drag you down, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Polly, you have no idea, but he actually takes singing lessons, and he's really working on singing, and he really likes that your profile picture is you singing, and that it looks like you're screaming singing.
Mine's
Yeah,
so great, and I like screaming.
well, actually, okay, I sang in a band for 5 years, and I did do scream singing, but I did singing as well. I do both. I prefer just singing, but I did do some screams. They were pretty cool. I'll actually send you a link. You could listen to what I sounded like in my band if you'd like. I'll do that
Sounds
after.
awesome.
Awesome. Okay, cool. But we can continue this
Love it,
very
love it,
valuable discussion.
love it, love it. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Awesome. So I think we touched on this topic a little bit. There was like 3 examples that.
You're still like, be a man.
No, well, oh, did I not finish that?
No, you didn't finish it. I was like, what do I do?
No, no. Oh, okay. With our scenario.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's practice it. I'm like, be a man, be a
So
man.
the scenario, just to summarize.
Just to summarize.
We were at a gathering.
Yep.
Someone made fun of my singing.
Yep.
You were there. This is all very hypothetical.
Yep.
You didn't say anything on the car ride back. I'm like, I was sad that someone made fun of my singing, and you didn't say anything to defend me. And you were like, I can see how that made you sad.
No, I was like, be a man.
You were like, be a man. You should be able to stand up for yourself.
Yes. And then what do you do?
What do I do?
Babes, were you not listening to anything? Okay.
I'd be like, what? I'd be like, I'm allowed to feel how I feel, and I was sad, and I want you to do something about it.
That's pretty good. But I want you to know that you're in the right. I want you to know that you're not being treated well right now. Because it doesn't matter if I want you to be a man in this moment. It's about you who got hurt in that moment.
Armand, when she says be a man, you look at her and you say, you're gonna find out how much of a man I am when we get home.
I don't know if I can follow that. I had my hand
You're
up
welcome.
next, but I'm not sure if I can follow that. Thank you, Polly. You have a little bit of like a Henry Rollins look to your picture, which is cool. Mad respect on that and scream singing. So, it's all good. I kind of have a thing, but wait a minute. How is it your fault if you didn't know that that's what he wanted, right? Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So, how is you know what I mean? Like, you didn't know that he needed you to go, that's my man, and he sings like Elvis. I don't care what anybody says.
He sings like Polly.
Right? He sings like Polly, right? He screams sings like nobody else. So, I mean,
Yes, I love these questions. Yes. And thank you so much for coming on, Star Boss. It's so great to hear your voice. Yes, that's a great question. So the reason that I don't, so I'm not, I wouldn't have known in that moment unless I was like, some sort of really attuned to what's going on, or I don't know. Maybe I could have figured it out, but most likely I couldn't have figured it out. So you're absolutely right. So in that moment, I wouldn't have known. But in this moment now that he's bringing it up with me, I have a choice to make. So he's letting me know that he was hurt by something that I did, which I didn't know about, which is totally fair. I'm not going to pretend like I should have known. So that part I'm not going to take accountability for. But I'm going to take accountability for what I can do from now on with the information I have. And because I care about him and I want him to be treated well in the future, and I can't change the past. So I'm not going to dwell on, making that, not knowing or him not telling me sooner, but I'm just going to focus on the future. And that is something that I can take accountability for and say, hey, I'm going to listen, I've heard what you said, and I think that's important to me because I want you to feel loved by me. So,
but what happens if you don't want to deliver on his, like,
mhm.
like say even though he does express his great
Mhm.
sadness for you to not protect his
Yes.
singing honor.
Extreme sadness.
Yes.
He's not defending his singing honor in the way that
Yes.
he needed it. Do do you still have to deliver on his request now that he's
Great
made it known?
question. Great question. Let's say I don't like defending people. I'm super introverted, or like maybe I think I don't like his
Maybe
singing.
yeah, maybe she thinks my singing is
What
bad.
if I agree with the other person? Like, oh my god. So there could be all of these different scenarios going on. The thing I would say, so whenever someone that you care about, that you want to treat well, says they're upset and they need this from you, you can either give them what you want. If that's easy, please do it. And if it's hard for whatever reason, like these other scenarios that we said, then we have to negotiate and see what we can kind of settle with that we're both kind of okay with. So let's take the scenario that I don't know, let's kind of combine these reasons for why I don't want to say that. So I could respond. So, like a healthy response would be something like, thanks for letting me know that you're upset. I hear you want me to defend your honor, and you gave me like an example of how you would appreciate that. Um, is it like, how would you feel if instead of like saying stuff, I held your hand and squeezed it? Like, so now I'm not verbally saying anything, and I don't have to say, like, "I love your singing," but I can hold his hand and let him know that I understood that it was an attack, and I'm there for him to support him, through it. I don't know, and then we would negotiate. Does that pass, Armand? Is that how would you feel about that?
It's not good enough for
It's
me.
not good enough when you work harder? Okay. What do you
I'll know, but the other person won't know that they've done something wrong.
Okay.
They need to back off.
I didn't know our mom was so high maintenance. This is interesting.
I know.
Okay, no, that's fine. We will still negotiate. So, okay, so the hand thing wasn't good enough. Um, what if I just said, like what if I just, like, changed the topic to something else and be like, "Hey, like, let's talk about this."
I'd be like, you're now ignoring it. You're enabling the other person.
I'm enabling. Okay. And then we would keep talking about it. Let me see if I can get a little more creative and think of something else. What about if I was like, "Hey, you hurt my husband's feelings. That's not okay with me."
I'm listening.
Okay. All right, I'll work with that. I'll work with that. So if you notice, by me saying, "Hey, you've hurt my husband's feelings," I haven't actually said anything about his singing, regardless of how I feel about his singing. And I'm still hearing, I'm still acknowledging that he's hurt in this moment and defending him verbally, which is like, pretty much all the things that he asked for. So I would be like, "Okay, I feel like that's something I can do." But even, like, we don't need to figure out the exact plan. Like, it's great if we do, but we don't need to figure out the exact plan for the next situation. We can, he can give me feedback on what he would appreciate, and then in the next moment something like this comes up, I can try and use what I've learned to apply it in some way. And then he can, if he's still upset with what I did, then we can talk about it and fine tune it. We don't have to solve all our problems immediately, although it would be great if we did. So, does that answer your questions?
I think you're still being too good of a partner. Like, all right, wait, we're supposed to be talking about that was great. Okay, that's fair.
Right.
That was a reasonable solution. You didn't like, even if you thought my singing was bad, you didn't have to like defend it. You're
Mhm.
just defending my feelings, not
Mhm.
not my singing. But what if, what if the partner doesn't think they need to defend you? Like, what if, like, what am I supposed to do if my partner's not budging? I'm applying all the, love story unicorn skills,
I
and they're
see.
just being a normal person.
Well, not normal, they're not treating you the best. They're not treating you
They're
well.
not treating me well. What do
Yeah.
I do?
Right, right. Are we married or are we
I don't know.
dating?
I'm okay with either situation.
Keep the situation poorly. I see your hand. Help us out.
Yeah, so I think this is in all seriousness, this has been
Mm.
fun, but in this type of scenario, I think it is a difficult spot for you to be in because,
Mhm.
if I'm trying to imagine the scenario. Maybe someone was just busting his chops after he sang some karaoke, like, "What are
Mm.
you doing up there?" or something, like,
Mhm.
and it's imagining you kind of snapping back defensive feels very over the top and awkward, right? So it's kind
Mhm.
of weird to in that moment know how to treat it. If it was me, I'd probably try to spin it back on the person and say, "Hey, we're all just here trying to have a good time." Like
Mhm.
what it does, I almost kind of point out that they're maybe being a little over the top without necessarily being aggressive about it.
Mhm.
It's without me seeing the moment and feeling the moment, it's really difficult for me to give a real analysis. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I tend it's I tend to try not to be too aggressive, but also make the point that, hey, like you don't have to take things so serious. We're all here enjoying ourselves. My
Mhm,
man's up there having fun.
mhm.
I hate when people make things uncomfortable like that. It's so freaking annoying.
It is, it is. No, I appreciate you. Starbucks, I see your hand.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Paula. You'd have to like see like part of the scenario of what's going on. But yeah, jumping in and going like, "Hey, don't say shit about my man singing." Like that's like, but can't dude like stand up for himself? Like, yo, don't say shit about my singing. Like you know what I mean? Like, dude,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
just I mean, so there's that. But that's okay. I mean, maybe it's emotional for him to like do those
Mhm.
things. Maybe he's not good at them. But I
Yeah.
do want to like bring this more to like an in real life thing though, like more serious. Like when
Mhm,
I was married to my second husband, I told him a lot, like, yo, I don't feel like our marriage is surviving or thriving. And
mm,
I it took me 8 years to honestly like bring myself to the point of being able to leave him. And it's and it got and it was like I just got all the way to the end of my rope, but I tried to give him indicators. Like I said, like, oh, like I feel like we have like a we have a 55% chance of survival or 60% chance of survival. And then I would like go, hey, I'm feeling like since, you're not willing to go to therapy and you don't want to work on it and you're just, it almost seems like you're running the clock out, man. Like what's now I'm down to like maybe we're at a 25% chance of surviving, and I literally said, we're at like 5%. And then it
mhm,
was just all of a sudden there was just like one day he was doing something that had been addressed multiple times over
mhm,
multiple years, and that was it. I was just done. I was just like, you're done. Like we're done. It's done.
mhm,
And that was it. And I never looked back. I'm like, you got 3 hours to get your shit out of the house, and that was it. And that was the end of the marriage. I mean, there was after that it was just like I filed the papers, bum, 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 done, 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 done,
mhm,
done, and that's it. But he would never defend me with his first family. It was second marriage for both of us, and so he
mhm,
was from England, so there was like like some overseas kind of stuff. But
mhm,
when we went to go to his country for holidays and stuff, I was excluded. And, there was just, I had to just deal with certain conditions. But then there was never like, hey, can we go do something to like go do our own thing to try to like, oh, I'm going to go do this for a few hours or whatever. And then working
mhm.
on anything that had to do with like emotional or decisions for the future, anything like that. And it took me 8 years to really understand what the edge of like the end of my abilities to be able to like, am I going to continue to live in this way? And does this living in this way what I imagined what married life would look like and what it has become, right? And so
Mhm.
somebody had to make a decision, when you put up with years of like just not being defended at all. It was almost like he threw me in front. you know
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, so it's like, it is a very serious thing that does happen, and some
Mhm,
people just either accept it like, oh, this is just the way it is and this is like how married life becomes. And
mhm.
I would just hope not. I would just hope for better. So and he wasn't going to make the move. He wasn't going to make the first move on
Yeah.
dissolving the marriage. So that's it. I had to be the bad guy.
I'm proud of you for figuring it out, that you weren't being treated well and you were seeing no signs of growth. Like, you gave him so many options, like 8 years to be able to work on any of these. Like, Starbucks, I'm just thinking, like, imagine the first time he didn't defend you and you had him work as hard as I did to come up with creative solutions to make you feel loved. Like, that would have been the very first point of the right direction of fixing your relationship. But, like, you went through 8 years of he was probably deflecting. He was probably not doing anything to make you feel more loved in those moments that you want to be defended. And so that was such a perfect tie in. And I really appreciate you sharing your story, because I want everyone to be able to notice when they're not being treated well, and this is so helpful in the dating phase. And the earlier you guys can pick up these signs, like I want you guys to know that if you're feeling upset in the moment and you want to be defended, for example, and the person is not taking it seriously, that is not a good sign. Like, even if I can't figure out exactly what Armand needs, like, look how much effort I put into coming up with solutions. Like, even if I didn't figure it out, it shows growth that I'm trying and you can work with me, you know? Maybe we don't come up with the solution in this car ride, but like in 2 days from now, we might come up with like something that you're like, "Okay, I know you feel uncomfortable like defending me like this, but like would you be comfortable at least saying this?" Or like maybe I'm okay with you just like squeezing my hand, or like maybe we can just talk smack about that person in the car on the whole car ride home and that can make you feel better. You know, like there's so many things that we can do to still make the other person feel loved even if it's not exactly what they want initially. So Starbucks, I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, awesome. Was there anything anyone else wanted to say on this topic, or any stories that they wanted to share, or any comments they wanted to make before we like jump into a situation?
Yeah, I just want to know, what solution did you actually come up with?
Let's see. I appreciate that. Okay.
I was gonna let her off the hook
I
You wanna-
think
because she
I
has a
think
hard
she's
deadline at 9. So
yeah, I think she's here for ideas.
I'm here for ideas. Okay, wait, you know what? I'm doing all this hard work. Let's put this on him. You know, that's also a thing I can do. I can be like, okay, so your initial like ideal response that you wanted from me, which was, you know, telling him to like back off and like not attack my husband. He's got a beautiful angelic voice. You know, maybe I can't say all that in the moment for whatever reason, but do you have an alternative for me that I could say? Yeah, like let's do. We can throw the creativeness back on the person that wants something. Let's see what you got. He's thinking.
oh man,
Do my ideas sound better now?
I mean it's hard because I'm not usually on this side of things.
I know, I gotta throw it back to him more, guys. See, this is something I can improve on.
Um, yeah, I think Polly's thing is was pretty close. Where you know, hey, well, like, hey, there's no need for that. There's no need for ugliness. We're just all trying to have a good time here. Something like that.
Okay.
What about awesome? And then like pivot right to a new subject. Like then it's just sort of like, I don't know. Like, do you think pivoting is bad? Like, just like it never was heard. Like that mean person, like saying that mean stuff about your great singing. Um, we just don't even want to acknowledge the bad behavior, right? I mean, am I missing something? Like just ignore it. Like, I don't know. I ignore mean sometimes. I act like I didn't catch it. You know what I'm saying? Yoda's chiming in. Did you hear that? That was my dog.
Yeah, I know. At least for me, it's a little bit hard to ignore stuff like it would be hard to ignore something like this. Um, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like if the person is like notoriously not a nice person, like, or like that, like I guess it's scenario based again, but I don't know. Usually, like if it's petty and like mean and petty like that, like the singing thing, and I don't acknowledge it. I don't know. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's more just sort of like I don't have time for that kind of,
Yeah, no,
because if
every
you feed
person.
those behaviors, then they'll keep repeating them, or they got you. You know what I mean?
Like they got the reaction they wanted from me. Yeah,
Right. They jerked his chain and they jerked your chain too. And then like, you're all the way home and they're just not even thinking about it. They were just like, yeah, I got to be mean. I like that. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, crack me up. Yeah, that was very true, and I think it's very subjective, like what people appreciate. So, in that moment, like maybe like defending you would have been like changing the topic and not even giving that person the pleasure of knowing that they even got to you, and that's something you would appreciate. But every person's different. I think Armand, it's like that would be like a not fully. No, you speak for yourself. Like what? I think you came up with an alternative. Almost, you were there with saying what Paulie said, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in this situation, it's hard for me because I don't. I'm usually closer to the other side of, you know, people standing up for themselves than needing defense. So it's a little bit harder for me on this side of things. Um, but
Paulie's got his hand up.
sure.
Well, I was just going to say, I think the biggest part of it, it's not that you needed defending, it's the fact that you felt maybe in that moment alone, like in your partner, even though they don't need to do something, sometimes it feels good to just see them do it, like, I think people tend to think, oh, I don't need a man, or I don't need this, or I don't need you to protect me. And a lot of times it's not just about the fact that we need it. It's just like, it would be nice just to have that effort. So I don't necessarily think, by feeling that way it necessarily means that you're opposite of what you normally are, because it's not that you needed it. It's just it was one of those where you felt a little attacked, and you didn't feel like your partner was necessarily like in your corner, like a ride or die
Mm,
in that moment. So I think there's a distinction there.
yeah. Starboss, I see your hand.
Yeah, I liked what Polly like was saying. It's kind of like, hey, we're all here just trying to have fun. That sort of points the points the bully out, right? And then also doubles down as like a, oh, my lady stuck up for me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's a kind of a twofer in a way.
Yeah. Armand, are you going to take that one? Is that good enough for us
Yeah,
to walk away happy?
I'm walking away happy.
All right. Let's go. Let's go. 40 minutes later, we got there.
At the end of the car ride, I'm showing you how much of a man I really am.
There we go.
Let's go.
And Starbucks, like this, even though like I didn't do the thing he wanted in the moment because I didn't know, and like we talked it out in the car, and maybe it took 40 minutes in the car for us to figure it out. But like Starbucks, we would be like on your percentage base. If we were down to like I don't know 90%, like I probably maybe would have gained like a 1%. Maybe we're at 91% after that. We're going in like the upwards direction, not the downwards direction. So that 40 minutes saved us, a lifetime of holding on to that little grudge and then it just adding on to it and getting worse. So please, I want you guys to notice these little moments and know you guys deserve to be treated well because you treat other people well. So please know that. And your environment is so important who you let in there. I wanted to finish up on one real life story that I was part of and experiencing that I thought was a really interesting one. It's maybe not one that we usually talk about. So, it was a couple. They, had been talking for a while. They were going to see each other for the first time. And for the girl, she's always been the one that, has chased guys, has been like head over heels for them. And, she was excited to meet this person. They met. And then, she comes, I'm like, how did it go? And she's like, I don't know. Like, I didn't feel like the spark slash butterflies. It was like a little weird, but like, I was like, "Are you attracted to him in person?" Because this was the first time you saw him. She's like, "Yeah, like I'm really attracted to him." And then I'm like, "So what's the issue?" She, she's like, "Oh, I don't know, like nothing really. Maybe like there's a little bit of political views that maybe we're a little bit different on, or where we want to end up living. Maybe he's like a little unsure about, but he's open to moving there and giving it a go." Um, and then so I was like, "Did he treat you well, like while you were spending time with him?" And she's like, "Yeah, he treated me really well." And I was like, okay. And then so I was, and then we dived into it further. And something that we noticed was that in her history, she's always chased the guy, and the guy's been the one who's not wanted her. And when she saw him, he really wanted to be with her. And so this was a very different feeling for her because she's never actually been chased by a guy before. So was not used to this feeling. And so it was strange to her and it was a bit weird. And it's really, really important for us to be able to notice our own patterns and how it can affect us. It's not necessarily that a relationship is bad, but it's not something that we're used to. So, like, it's really important to just, like, luckily I was that person for her. But if you need to just think about things more logically, because I don't know what histories you are all playing with when you approach a new person. Like, you want to make sure you're attracted to them. You want to make sure that they treat you well. Um, and your preferences and things are there, but like those are big things, like they treat you well and you're attracted to them, and they're the things that you're looking for. So other things, feelings aren't usually reliable, so try not to make huge big decisions without weighing up the objective stuff as well. So then Polly, I'll get to you in 1 second. I'm just wrapping up. So, with this situation, we talked about it, and I'm like, of course, it's going to feel a bit weird for you if you've never experienced someone chasing you before. It's probably going to feel very foreign to you, and you're going to be like, is there something wrong with him for like chasing me? Like, what is this? I'm not used to this. And then so, she understood that that's like a common feeling with given her history. And then when she went back for, the next day she saw him, she like felt more comfortable with him. Even the little thing that was about political stuff, I was like, bring that up with him. Don't shy away from these like uncomfortable conversations. Just make sure you're on the same page if it's something that's important to you. And she brought it up and she clarified it, and it was all good. And so they sorted it out. But if I wasn't there, or if someone gave her the wrong advice in that moment, which again would have been millimeters of, oh, listen to your feelings, like, if it's not right, it's not right, or it's just so easy to give that advice. And they could have drifted apart. Maybe she would have not seen him again. And like, they could have had the chance to completely, maybe they're each other's love of their lives, and they would have just missed out because of something so little. So even with myself, like, just having my dad like not love me and treat me well, and having a bit of abandonment issues, like that's something that I have to notice, and I had to notice back in the day with my own patterns to know what is a healthy relationship, what's not. Like I used to go after all these guys that weren't responsive to me, and like not treating me well, which
All
was
these non-singers.
all these non-singers, exactly. And then and then I met my husband, and he was treating me so well, and that was very different. And I was all like, I had feelings like, is this too easy? Like, is this not right? Like, I don't know. Like, it was weird to me too. And we're gonna notice that what is healthy might be something that we just never grew up with, and that's something that we want. We don't want to keep repeating mistakes that we've made in the past. So just because something might not feel perfect doesn't mean it's wrong. We might just have a history of dealing with really unhealthy relationships, and we got to get used to what healthy is, which takes a bit of time. It's not immediate. Polly, I remember your hand was up. I haven't forgotten. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just what her story I was going to touch on, it sort of continues what you're just talking about with,
Mm.
I think oftentimes when we grow up, if we grow up in maybe a chaotic environment, or we are in a home where it feels neglectful, or maybe not necessarily abusive, but just we're not receiving the kind of love and attention we think we'd like. It can, when we get older, it can be very difficult to feel comfortable when you're around stability and positivity and love.
Mhm.
People,
Mhm.
I see, psychologists talk about your nervous system almost reacts to it, and like almost as if you grew up in a positive place and you were put somewhere negative. It's like almost the
Mhm.
same reaction. So, yeah, being able to recognize that, you know, just because I feel uncomfortable, that doesn't mean it's the other person. It just maybe means that I'm not used to this. And if I want to be loved and appreciated the way I'd like to, I need to find a way to open myself up to a better relationships, better environments, better communities, places that maybe it takes us a bit to come out of our shell and become a little more comfortable. But that's where the hard work of unlearning all the terrible crap we might learn when we're kids, really takes place. I think that's what growing up really is. It's like
Mhm.
figuring out, what did I learn as a kid that I really not only don't need, but is holding me back from really being the best person that I can be.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Polly. Thank you for sharing all of that coming together with us. I appreciate it. Starburst, go for it.
Yeah, let me just kind of round it out. It's also to kind of piggybacking off what you're saying, Polly. If you have trauma as like like a known space, when you have something new and different, it's it is scary. You have to be willing to trust it because you know what it looks like when it's chaotic, right? You don't know what it looks like when it's not chaotic. So having that be like, oh, when's the bottom gonna drop out of this? Like, to really like be full throttle, fling yourself out there into the universe and, have that deep love experience. It's like, is it fleeting or is it real, right? It's sort of like, but I have one friend who like has, I have deep mad respect for him because I'm just like, man, why does it seem like relationships are so much work? I bleep myself out there. I bleeped a word out. Because it's like, man, it just seems like they're hard. And so it's like, all right, but but you don't want to be destined to be alone. And my friend said, when you find the right person, it's gonna be easy. It's not gonna be hard. It's just gonna all make sense and it's just gonna be easy. And you'll have difficulties, that you have to work through, but it won't be that work, like that heavy workload that you're talking about. It'll be an easy experience. So, just looking for, Mr. Easy.
Yes.
Just,
Yeah, good luck.
taking it easy, looking for Mr. Easy. Well, here's the thing. I know, right? Like shit, I'm almost 60. So, yeah, telling me good luck, dude. I need to strike gold. I mean, I don't need just luck. I mean, I need a payload, but that's okay, you know. But it's all good, because I think, if you're meant to collide with the right person in the universe, you will. And even if they're bad experiences, it brings you to today, right? And
Mhm.
so, unpack, unload, and go find somebody that, you have fun with. Start, just go and have fun. That's it. And the fun will guide you through it. And I'm not talking about being like careless and reckless and,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. I'm just like, get to know them. I mean, I don't know. I think that, everyone's in such a hurry to like have a sexual encounter. I think they forget. Like if you put that in front of everything, no pun intended, it won't last. Like,
Mhm.
it's not that's not a foundation. Having great sex is one thing, but that's not a foundation. And so having a friendship and, getting to know someone, that's more of a foundation. And if it's easy to get to know them and then you happen to like, get it on and have sex and stuff, then there you go. Then you got the mashup. Ta-da.
That's
Yeah,
it.
and it might not be easy all the time, but if it's the right person, you're at least be willing to have the tough conversations and do the, like, the story we heard today, an uncomfortable situation. It was hashed out, you both cared about it enough that you wanted to come together and come up with the right solution so that it never happens ever again,
You both
so
got to be fighting for it. That's the key.
It is the key. It is the key. And I'm so glad we got there. And it is Starbucks, I want to say it is easier than all those unhealthy relationships we had. The right relationship is way easier than the other ones. And like no relationship comes with like no effort. So I know you already know that. But like think about it, like with the scenario that we had today with the defending him about the singing. It's so much easier for us to resolve this problem when we're both trying to he's doing the hard work of telling me when he's upset, telling me what he needs, me trying to figure it out, me throwing it on him when I can't figure it out, us working together. Then imagine me saying, "Oh my gosh, you complain all the time. I just wanted to enjoy one party. I feel overwhelmed now. I'm not going to talk to you for 3 days." Like, imagine how much harder that is to deal with than what we just did. So it is way easier when you both treat each other well. Um, so yeah, no, I agree. It is so much easier, and so hopefully we're all closer to getting there. And yeah, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for coming. I wish you all the love lives of your dreams, and we'll catch each other next week, same time, guys. Bye, everyone.